People always said I was strong. They said it like it was a gift, like it was something to be proud of. You can handle it, they told me. You're always calm. You're the strong one. I learned that word early. Strong. It meant I did not cry in front of others. It meant I listened when everyone else talked. It meant I stayed standing when things fell apart. In my family, problems never knocked on the door. They walked straight in and sat down. Bills, sickness, broken dreams, quiet fights at night. When something went wrong, all eyes slowly turned to me. Not because I was the oldest. Not because I knew the answers. But because I did not fall apart. So I became the one who said, "It's okay," even when it wasn't. At school, my friends came to me with their secrets. I listened to stories of heartbreak, fear, and shame. I gave advice. I found the right words. I stayed up late replying to messages that said, "Are you awake?" I was always awake for them. No one asked if I was tired. When I felt sad, I told myself to be quiet. Other people had bigger problems. When I felt angry, I swallowed it. Strong people don't get angry, right? When I felt scared, I smiled. Strong people don't show fear. That is the first thing nobody tells you about being the strong one. You slowly disappear inside yourself. On the outside, I looked fine. I laughed. I worked hard. I helped others. People said, "I don't know how you do it." I didn't know either. I just kept going. There were days I wanted someone to notice. To look at me and say, "You don't have to be strong today." But those words never came. When you are the strong one, people forget you also need help. At night, when the house was quiet, I felt it all. The weight I carried during the day pressed down on my chest. My thoughts ran in circles. What if I fail? What if I break? Who will hold everything together then? I never said these thoughts out loud. I was afraid. Afraid that if I started talking, I would not be able to stop. Afraid that if I showed weakness, people would be disappointed. So I kept the role, the helper, the listener, the fixer. But deep inside, a small voice whispered, "What about you?" I ignored it for a long time. I thought being strong meant never needing anything. I thought it meant standing alone. I did not know yet that strength has a cost. And I was about to pay it. This is where my story really begins. Being strong feels powerful at first. You feel needed, important, useful. People praise you for it. They trust you with their worries. They lean on you when their legs feel weak. And you tell yourself, "This is my role. This is who I am." But nobody tells you what happens after a long time. The weight grows. I carried everyone quietly. Now, I began to feel the cracks. They were small at first. I woke up tired even after a full night of sleep. Simple things felt heavy. Smiles took more effort. Still, I said nothing. When someone asked, "Are you okay?" I answered, "I'm fine," before they even finished the question. It became automatic. Like breathing. Inside, something was changing. I started feeling lonely in crowded rooms. I could be surrounded by people who loved me, yet feel unseen. They knew the strong version of me, not the tired one, not the scared one, not the one who needed help. Problems kept coming. Family issues, work pressure, friends needing advice. I handled them one by one, like always. But this time, every problem left a mark. A quiet ache that did not go away. I noticed I was becoming impatient. Small things annoyed me. I felt guilty about it, so I pushed harder to be kind. Strong people are patient, I reminded myself. Strong people don't complain. That is another thing nobody tells you about being the strong one. You don't get permission to fall. When I made a mistake, I was harder on myself than anyone else could be. I told myself to do better, be better, try harder. There was no space for rest. No space for failure. I began to lose touch with my own feelings. I could understand everyone else's emotions clearly, but mine felt confusing and far away. When someone asked what I wanted, I didn't know how to answer. I was used to thinking about others first. At night, The silence became louder. My mind replayed every conversation, every choice. I worried about letting people down. I worried about being selfish if I asked for help. I worried that if I stopped being strong, I would lose my value. Sometimes, I cried quietly in the bathroom or under the blanket, where no one could hear. I wiped my tears quickly. Tomorrow, I would be strong again. I told myself this pain was normal, that everyone feels this way, that I just needed to push through. But deep inside, I knew something was wrong. Strength was no longer just a role. It was a cage. And the hardest part? No one could see it, because I still looked strong. In the next part, everything I tried to hide would finally catch up with me. The breaking point did not come with a big sound. It came on an ordinary day. I woke up already tired. My body felt heavy, like I had not rested at all. I looked in the mirror and saw someone I barely recognized. My eyes looked dull. My smile felt fake even before I tried to make it. That day, everyone needed something from me. One person needed advice. Another needed comfort. Another needed me to fix a problem I did not create. I said yes to all of them. Like always. But inside, something was shaking. At work, I made a small mistake. Nothing serious. Normally, I would laugh it off and fix it. But this time, my chest tightened. My hands trembled. My thoughts raced. I felt like I was failing at everything at once. I went to the bathroom and locked the door. That is where it happened. I slid down against the wall and started crying. Not quiet tears. Not careful tears. Real ones. My body shook. My breath came out in short, broken gasps. I tried to stop, but I couldn't. For the first time, I was not strong. All the feelings I had pushed away came rushing back. The sadness, the anger, the fear, the loneliness. It felt like a wave crashing over me again and again. I remember thinking, I can't do this anymore. That thought scared me. I stayed there for a long time, staring at the floor, wondering how I reached this point. I had done everything right. I had helped everyone. I had stayed strong. So why did I feel so empty? That is when I realized something painful. No one had ever told me it was okay to need help. And I had never allowed myself to ask. Being the strong one had taught me how to give, but not how to receive. It had taught me how to survive, but not how to rest. When I finally stood up, my face was red and my eyes were swollen. I washed my hands and looked at myself again. I whispered, I'm tired. Saying it out loud felt strange, honest, scary. Later that day, someone asked me for a favor. I opened my mouth to say yes. The word was already there, ready to come out. But it didn't. I can't today, I said quietly. They looked surprised. Not angry, just surprised. And the world did not end. That small moment stayed with me. It showed me something important. Maybe strength was not about never breaking. Maybe it was about knowing when you can't hold everything alone. That night, I allowed myself to rest. I didn't fix anything. I didn't solve anyone's problems. I just sat with my feelings and let them exist. It was uncomfortable. It was messy. But it was real. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't performing strength. I was being human. And that changed everything. After that day, nothing changed quickly. Life did not suddenly become easy. Problems still came. People still needed things. But something inside me was different. I had seen the truth. I could not unsee it. For the first time, I noticed how often I ignored myself. How quickly I said yes when my heart wanted to say no. How I felt guilty for resting, like I was doing something wrong. So I started small. Very small. When I felt tired, I paused instead of pushing through. When I did not have the energy to listen, I told myself it was okay to be quiet. When someone asked how I was, sometimes I answered honestly. Today is hard, I said once. The room went silent for a moment. Then someone nodded and said, I understand. That surprised me. Nobody got angry. Nobody walked away. Nobody said I was weak. That is another thing nobody tells you about being the strong one. People don't leave when you stop pretending. Some people even came closer. I began to realize that strength was not one thing. It had many shapes. Sometimes it looked like helping others. Sometimes it looked like setting a boundary. Sometimes it looked like asking for help. Asking for help was the hardest. The first time I did it, my voice shook. I felt exposed, like I was standing without armor. I expected judgment. I expected disappointment. Instead, I found relief. Sharing my weight did not make me smaller. It made the load lighter. I also learned to sit with my feelings instead of fighting them. When sadness came, I stopped telling it to go away. When anger showed up, I listened instead of hiding it. Feelings were no longer enemies. They were messages. Slowly, I started to understand myself again. I noticed what drained me and what gave me energy. I noticed when I was helping out of love and when I was helping out of fear. Fear of being replaced. Fear of being unneeded. Fear of not being enough. That fear had driven me for years. I had believed my value came from how much I could carry, from how useful I was to others, from how strong I looked. But strength without care turns into exhaustion. I was still strong, just differently now. I said no more often. Not in a cold way, but in an honest one. I rested without explaining myself. I stopped fixing things that were not mine to fix. Some people did not like the change. They were used to the old version of me. The one who never said no. The one who never needed anything. Letting them be uncomfortable was part of my growth. I was learning that being strong also means choosing yourself. Not always, not perfectly, but intentionally. And with every small choice, I felt myself coming back. I will tell you what being the strong one really means to me now. Now I understand what being the strong one truly is. It is not about carrying everything alone. It is not about never crying, never breaking, or never asking for help. It is about balance. About knowing when to stand tall and when to rest. After the hardest days, I started to value myself in ways I never had before. I learned to check in with my own heart, to ask, what do I need right now? And then to act on that, without guilt. I discovered that strength can be quiet. It can be soft. It can be patient with yourself. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is say, I cannot do this alone. And then let someone in. Let someone hold a piece of your weight. I still help people. I still listen, fix, guide, and support. But now I do it with boundaries. I do it with care for my own energy. I do it without losing myself. There were days when I slipped back. Days when I forgot to pause, forgot to say no, forgot to breathe. But each time, I reminded myself, falling does not make me weak. Ignoring yourself does. People often still call me strong. But now, I smile differently when they say it. I know the truth. Strength is not a shield you hide behind. Strength is not proof that you are unbreakable. Strength is learning to carry what you can, to release what you cannot, and to ask for help when you need it. I also realized something else. Being the strong one teaches others something important. It shows them that it is okay to be human. That you can be brave and tired, helpful and vulnerable, loved and scared, all at the same time. Now, I do not feel invisible anymore. I allow myself to feel, to rest, to cry, to be unsure. I allow myself to exist beyond the role of strong one, and that has made all the difference. The biggest lesson nobody tells you is this. Being strong is not about holding everything together alone. It is about carrying yourself through life with honesty, courage, and care for others, yes, but also for yourself. I am still the strong one, but I am also me. And for the first time, those two truths can live in the same space. I am learning, slowly but surely, that real strength is not what you give to the world. It is how you protect your own heart while giving. And that, I think, is the kind of strength worth having.